Yesterday, I opened my Twitter and I saw this tier list for Season 2. Now, if you look at it, you can see that it is obviously AI generated. You can tell by the way the background looks, the text sizes are pretty inconsistent, and then there is the fact that it used the logo from the wrong expansion. But this tweet concerningly performed pretty well. It has 74k views and 200 likes, so it's definitely gotten out there. And there are probably people looking at this who don't know what's wrong with it and are probably actually going to follow it. Now, this tier list is trash. It's not because it's AI, but it's because the dataset and criteria used is completely misleading. In the S tier, it has given us Shadow Priest and Ret Paladin, which are looking decent, but they are definitely not looking S right now, and no other tier list maker is putting those specs on S. The data used in this tier list comes from archon.gg, which is a site that auto-generates tier lists and other things based on Warcraft logs data. This is their page for PTR rankings, and at the top of the page, they have a big disclaimer that says, treating testing data like live data is both incorrect and inaccurate. So to make the AI tier list, this guy went into the DPS rankings table down here and he sorted by key level. As you can see, the 4 specs that have timed to 21 are the specs that he has in S tier. Now you might think that doing the highest key means that a spec is good. That would make logical sense, right? But that is not really how the PTR works. On the PTR, there is a vendor that sells scrolls that let you choose your key level. These scrolls let you choose any key level between 2 and 20, but you can't do a 21. The only way to get a 21 is to time a 20 and then you have one attempt at it like it's a live non-resil key. So nobody is really doing 21s on PTR. Vast majority of top groups are just doing 19s and 20s. Even the highest end players like Kira are just doing 19s all day on stream. But there are a few Chinese groups on PTR that have been trying 21s and 2 of them have been timed in total. This 21 Ruby life pools is where the Shadow Priest S tier allegation comes from. The key is from 11 days ago. Mistweaver was very OP back then, but it has since been nerfed by a lot. Prot Paladin was very OP back then, but it has since been nerfed by a lot. The timer is no longer valid because they reduced the timer in this dungeon from 29 to 28 minutes a week ago. And the S tier Shadow Priest very obviously got carried here. He did way less damage to everything in the key, way less damage to trash, way less damage to bosses. And same thing with this 21 Blinding Veil. We have the same group on the same day with a Ret Paladin instead, and the Ret is definitely not doing as good as the other 2 DPS. And this would again be a deplete if it was done in this week, because the Blinding Veil timer was reduced to 31 minutes. Now since these 2 runs, we have had a round of nerfs to OP classes, as mentioned before, and keys were also baseline buffed by 4%, so 21s are probably not very likely to be done anymore, meaning that despite any current and future tuning, this AI tier list will never change, and Shadow Priest is somehow locked into S tier. Now if you look at the comments of this tweet, there are a lot of people calling it out for being AI. There are also even more comments that the author hid from the tweet, including mine here that almost ratioed him before he hid it. If you go look at his profile, he has a healer tier list with the same issue. Mistweaver is in S based on runs from the week prior, even though it was hard nerfed 6 days ago. And he has a tank tier list, and just look at this, like what even is this blood DK icon? There's obviously no visual consistency between these AI tier lists, they are all styled completely differently. And he loves to use these hype buzzwords. First meta, insane! So these are all just complete slop. Now what is concerning is that this is not the first time that I have seen this. It might be starting to become a trend. Last week, I saw a similar AI tier list from someone else. Healer Hero Spec Rankings for PTR and Plus. And this table is again from archon.gg. He just lifted the table and then for some reason felt the need to put it through AI. And this just looks like trash. All the hero tree icons are just wrong. You have these random characters on the left and right. On the left side, the AI just put the same character there twice. And on the bottom, there are just random icons that don't mean anything. Regardless of your stance on AI, you have to admit that these images are just bad from a visual design standpoint. They do not look good and they are not consistent. Like, I don't understand what is driving these guys to take these tables and tier lists and run them through the most jarring looking AI with no revision for just the simplest mistakes. Now, this same Jimmy Fumi guy has been posting a lot of these screen grabs of archon.gg, and not all of them have been through AI. Like, here is one where he posts a table for hero spec rankings of DPS, and it must be very important because he's got all these alarm emojis. But if you look at it, it is the most misleading thing ever. Some of these hero tree combos literally have one log. Like, you have Keeper of the Grove Balanced Druid doing half of the DPS of a Loon's Chosen Balanced Druid on the list, and the gap between boomy hero talents is definitely not that big. But the thing is, out of the already small amount of people doing PTR testing, anyone who is testing Boomy in high keys is probably just going to be playing a Loon's Chosen because it has just always been the better option. And if you go into the quotes, you can see that there are people looking at this tweet and then freaking out about hero tree balance when it actually just means nothing. This is the most irrelevant data. So I am just a bit concerned that these random AI tier lists and these no context screenshots from Archon.gg are getting so many views on Twitter, and I really hope nobody is basing a decision on them. Now, I also wouldn't be basing a decision off of a human-made tier list either. Tier lists can never be 100% accurate. If you look at Season 1 tier lists, everyone was putting Arcane Mage in S, and Arcane Mage is definitely not an S tier class in Season 1. Also, the meta in PTR is very up in the air, nobody can decide on what the best comp is, then there is also just absolutely guaranteed to be tuning to come. But if you do want to know what looks promising, I'd say that these 6 DPS specs are looking like the strongest right now, Blood DK is looking like the strongest tank for damage and also surprisingly survivability, and Holy Paladin just does more healing than any other healer. But it is crazy to assume specs like Blood DK and Holy Paladin will actually remeta, and a few changes to other specs in the coming weeks will absolutely change everything.